Hello, I'm Thomas Fritz, and this is my presentation on my EME811 project for solar, thermal, energy, and utilities industry. The paper was completed for the fall of 2016, and I had some post-submission revisions and editing help from the instructor, Dr. Mark Fedkin, and my wife, Beryl Brodsky. This discussion today won't go into extreme details on the results, but just cover those. The details are in the abstract, and if during the presentation or after the presentation you have questions, feel free to reference specific pages from the paper or particular charts from this presentation. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the topic selection, a little bit about the scope of the project, which always causes me a lot of anxiety, making sure I scope the project so that it's both can be accomplished and, in this case, demonstrate the knowledge of the course material. My summary of results will be in the four areas, sort of my discovery that the hot water storage was a key element. Of course, I wanted to concentrate on the solar thermal system, the collection of the energy, but I really believe that the storage was a key element of the design. The results in terms of energy savings and business case, and then two other important items, the realities of West Virginia as a fossil fuel state and the need for partnering in order to accomplish a renewable energy program in a state like West Virginia. The topic selection, I chose this because Berkeley Springs is sort of a resort town, similar to where we're moving to in Brigantine, New Jersey, which is a beach community. The challenge for this resort town, as I mentioned, is West Virginia is a fossil fuel state. In this case, the cost of liquid propane gas is very low, just $4.33, about $1.20 a gallon for each hot bath, a 750-gallon bath. So the benefit of this is not going to be the elimination of low-cost fossil fuel, but rather to try to attract more visitors to the bath, which has significantly more capacity than its current usage rate. The scope of the project, as I mentioned, this always causes consternation for me, because I feel like if I pick something big enough to really get into, there's risk that I won't actually complete the task. So my scoping method was to be minimally technically competent and then leave myself time to do the additional investigation that would show the customer, or in this case, show the instructor, my overall understanding of the commercial what's required to make something commercially viable or viable for the utility. So restated, the lower boundary was technical competence with just the simple knowledge of overall fuel consumption, price of fuel, and annual number of customers. And then the upper boundary is to demonstrate knowledge of what makes solar thermal commercially viable. My results, as I mentioned, I thought my results were going to be this fantastic design of a high-density solar collection system, but in reality, I discovered that the current design is relatively simple and trouble-free, that they probably need the new design to also be relatively simple and trouble-free, and would likely need the ability to incorporate other renewable systems besides just solar. There's a very strong biofuel lobby in West Virginia, so it dawned on me that this project could end up becoming a biofuel project with a wood-powered stove instead of a solar project. So with that in mind, the unpressurized hot water storage sort of becomes the central theme, and energy collection from wastewater as secondary. High temperature water storage needs to be above 140 degrees to prevent bacteria, and I propose 185 degrees to try to get as much energy in a small space as possible, This temperature is higher, but not so much higher than their current boiler temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's the existing design. Very simple. It has a 3,800 million BTU per hour boiler, and they can produce 122 gallons per minute of hot water. So each bath then can be filled in about 6 minutes. So this became a criteria for me that the new system should also be able to fill a 600 or a 750 gallon bath in 6 minutes. There is some existing 5,000 gallons of storage, and there's an unused room, bath number 9, which the maintenance team nominated as a potential location for hot water storage. The incoming temperature of the water is 74.3 degrees with a very large volume, 1,000 gallons per minute available. The proposed design retains as much of the original structure as possible, but adds 3 key elements. So a proposed 2,400 gallon storage area, a solar boiler as an interface, and heat recovery. My goal with the heat recovery was to capture 1/3 or 1/2 of the waste energy, the 100-degree water after it cools from a 30-minute bath, to try to capture some of that energy. And so the unpressurized hot water storage becomes a key element that allows the capture, the unpressurized capture of waste heat, and the introduction of new heat from the solar thermal system, as well as heat from an auxiliary boiler. The new design, I believe, could be accomplished with a boiler about 1/10 of the existing capacity. So much with a new boiler, that keeps the price down and allows the organization to purchase the most or the highest efficiency boiler possible. So that's the new design proposed. As I alluded to, the business case for this system is not the energy savings. That would only amount to about $15,000 per year in savings in an overall business of $100,000 a year, which just, according to some of the state's records, just barely pays for the labor involved in operating the facility. So a strange situation by saving so much fuel really doesn't amount to that much additional value. So my proposal is that a partnership with the community is what's essential to take this energy savings and advertise it or use it as an advertising budget to bring in additional customers. At present, the old Roman baths are probably utilized at 1/4 of their maximum capacity. So I feel that with additional advertising and a slightly reduced price, they might be able to double their usage rate, which could bring in twice as much tourism, at least from this one use. Currently 5,000 customers a year. If that were bumped up to 10,000 customers a year, that might amount to an additional $1 million value to the local community. As I mentioned, West Virginia is an energy producing state, but all of this energy, both the bio, the coal, the natural gas, and oil, is all concentrated off to the west of the state. Berkeley Springs is to the east. So one item that I mentioned in the proposal is that there's no transportation cost to solar energy. So that might be a small advantage over other renewable fuels for a renewables project. And finally, partnership is key. Because this is a small economic impact, value needs to be found in other areas. So I believe that partnership with the Tourism Bureau is essential, and also partnership with the local community college will be key. It could become an apprenticeship program for heating and air conditioning. This new system would be a much more complicated process control, which would be very valuable for the community college. And then finally, this project could act as a springboard for other larger projects in the area. There's 2 or 3 other thermal baths, commercial activities in the town, as well as the community as a whole. There's a silica mine just to the north that's about to be closed. This is a huge pit in the ground that might be filled in. It could have an alternative use. The pit could remain, could be filled with water and used as a thermal source with additional solar panels, and it could become a community solar heating project, such as is being developed in some European countries. So that's my overall discussion. Again, any questions, I'm ready to answer. Feel free to use references to these charts or pages out of the paper itself. Thank you.